Welcome back to the High Performance Hub podcast. Today we are joined by a very close friend and an absolute guru when it comes to music producing, DJing, remixing, content, you name it. Mark Eteson's the man. Mark, welcome, my friend.
Thank you for having me, Tom. What an intro.
I know. I've rehearsed it so many times in the mirror and it just came off perfectly.
I love it, mate.
Mate, so for people that don't know you, where did the journey with music begin? Rolling back the years.
Probably in school. Well, even before that, to be honest, I was thinking about this last night. Now we live in Vegas, but my journey probably started when I was around 10 or 11, listening to tapes. And I remember this one song got me into dance music, Too Unlimited, No Limit, which is now basically the mindset that I try and live by. I remember listening to that on my Walkman in Blackpool, which is the working man's Vegas.
Literally.
And my dad could only hear the other side of the stereo because you got your headphones on, and all he could hear was dunch, dunch, dunch. So he was just like, what are you listening to this dunch, dunch music for? But that was the thing. That was the catalyst that brought me into the dance music scene. So I guess my music journey started in Blackpool, age 11.
That's crazy. But then, obviously it started then, but then how did you begin to make this like kind of hobby into a passion and then into producing, and like you gone from Blackpool to performing at Omnia Hakkasan? Like, that's not a bad journey, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been really fortunate. I think, okay, rolling back the years even more, when I was about 5, my dad is a musician, and he has keyboards around the house, so I was just interested in sound. Like, music albums are being played all the time throughout the course of me growing up, and my dad and I would go and play pool in the back room or football. Like, that's how we would kind of like just hang out together, and he would always have music on. So it would be Toto, it would be Chicago, it would be Andrew Gold, and these albums, I was immersed into music from an early age. Also then, because my dad had keyboards, he would sit me on them and he would try and have me learn how to play, but I was more interested in the sound effects. So we started doing stories and stuff together. But I think just the involvement in kind of picking different types of sounds and being able to tell a story with it is what songs are to me. So that kind of began at a very early age and was kind of heavily influenced by my dad and how open he is to music and the way that he expresses himself through music. And I was just in awe of that. And to be able to talk that way, to be able to communicate through sound in a way that can change people's feelings about things and tell a story and put them in an environment was just something I was just obsessed by, and I've never lost that.
Yeah, that's a massive talent. And just going off like your SoundCloud and the mixes that you put together and the commentary, and you explain the song before you play it, and it puts you in that environment to then listen to the song. But communicating through music, like, that's a huge talent. So from that, obviously you got the inspiration from your dad, which I'm sure we'll go into the influence that our parents had and whatnot. But going into your first set, going into getting your first decks, going into your first set in Vegas, like that, those jumps must have been like scary, daunting, like nervous.
Yeah, a little bit, but also just exciting because I was younger and I didn't second guess myself too much at that age. I think I was just excited for that to be something that I was enjoying doing. Like, I didn't compare myself to anyone at that point. I compare myself way more now than I ever did when I was 15 or 16, learning how to DJ, working in a telemarketing call center, looking at decks in between calls coming in, thinking, I'm going to get these decks. Belt drive, and I'm like, no, I can't have belt drive. It's got to be direct drive. Yeah. And then thinking, right, well, I've got to work this amount then to be able to save up that amount of money so that I can get the decent decks. And this was all like at the same time as listening to Radio 1, listening to Tongy, listening to Judge Jules, recording their sets on tapes, listening back to them, hearing how they would introduce songs, who the cool artists were in the scene at the time, and trying to kind of understand, like, if I could be a part of that and how that would work. So I was just immersing myself in it, and it was just so exciting for me.
Yeah, so you're obsessed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pure obsessed.
Purely addicted to music.
So without you kind of realising, you were constantly, and realising, like, learning, developing, what are they doing, how can I put my own twist on things. And the one thing that I love is that you do put your personality across so well, whether it be on stories or with the story of everything that premiere that you did, and just it's encouraging for me to then put my personality across more, because there's just no filter, and it's so rewarding to see, because I think, we trained this morning, that's why we're wearing like kind of tighter tops, but we were talking about kind of authenticity and how that's essentially going down the route of being lost potentially in today's day and age with content. Yes, this is going to be produced and it's going to look great, it's going to sound great, but then having that authenticity through it is the key, and having that value as well. And that's something that I think that you've been bringing, since I've known you for over 3 years now. And it's just been consistent, which, again, if I was wearing a hat, mate, I'd tip it to you. So good work with that.
Appreciate you saying that, mate. It sometimes doesn't feel like that, because I think we, generally, humans, tend to try and bring our best foot forward in any kind of social environment. So, like, if I'm talking to, somebody who's a business person, I'm going to sit a bit more upright and try and talk their language a bit more. I'm learning really to totally embrace who I am and my personality and where I come from, and I'm off that, I come from this street, dude. I'm working class, and I don't want to hide from that or pretend like I'm something I'm not, because that's who I am. And the more I lean into that and my mates from school and what we used to get up to, that is my story. So I have to kind of remind myself to not try and change to appear like I'm something that I'm not. Like, I went to university, yeah, but did I get the diploma? No. Like, I flunked that. And I say that for the purpose to make it clear, like, you have to own your story. You can't hide from it, and you shouldn't. And I have kind of skirted around the edges on some things, or polished a few bits off, or just kept things to myself because I felt like, I can't say that because then they're going to think this about me.
Yeah.
But the more I've just been like, you know what? That's it though. That's who I am. I did that, but that doesn't define me. That's just part of what's got me to where I am at now. And the more I've done that, the more relaxed everything's been, the more fun it's been, and yeah, you can just get on with stuff.
I think one key thing there is, like, the more fun it's been, the more fun you can make out of what you do, how you do it, the more you're going to enjoy it. And everything that we enjoy, we do more of, naturally. But going back into kind of the DJing side of things, because I remember coming to watch one of your sets at Live, mate, I was so excited. I was like, because obviously I've seen you on, like, Metal with you countless times, train with you, but actually seeing you do what you do, mate, it was like, I was like a dog.
Bro, you had me hype that night.
Mate, I was like, there's a video
You were right
of me,
out there.
I was like, send it. I hate watching those videos back of myself. I was like, oh my God. But it was class. Like, seeing you do your thing and getting everyone, like, kind of jumping and raving about you for what you produce. That's got to release so many endorphins and make you feel absolutely insane. Surely.
Yeah, that's the peak moment of it. The performing of it is the most fun. Like, we're doing this shoot thing, right? So, like, that's the goal that we work towards. There's the target point where we get to kind of, that's the moment. DJing is that's the performance element of it. There's so much more that comes from, like, planning everything beforehand, making the music, etc., the whole promotional aspect of it. The performing is, I'm truly in my element. I feel comfortable. I feel at home in those moments. But they're not, that's only the tip of the iceberg, right? There's all this stuff that comes underneath that, which is a lot of, that can be the more stressful side of stuff. So like with the shoot that we're doing, that's kind of a similar feeling. Like there's a point in time that you know that you're working towards that feels great, that you know that there's a vision there. But there's hard work that comes before that. And there's having fun in that kind of interplay of things is to find the understanding that what you're working towards is the thing, but you're in the process of it.
Yeah.
You've got to enjoy that process, however you can do that. I mean, how do you stay enthused to do what you're doing? You love and have fun doing what you do.
With my own physique or with coaching?
Both.
With my own physique, it's always pushing myself. Because again, we mentioned before, like, I used to like the word satisfaction. Now it's one of my most hated words, because with satisfaction comes complacency. So there's no growth with satisfaction. And I hate the feeling of staying the same. I hate the feeling of like not progressing in the gym, not progressing on runs, not like looking at all the data and stuff like that. But that's with myself. With the coaching side of things, it's helping people change their lives, mate. And receiving comments from yourself or anyone be like, I wouldn't be here without you. I've never felt this good. Like all the metrics that we achieved, like the last shoot and still achieving now, like reducing your metabolic age, feeling healthier, feeling like the clarity, mental clarity, all these things. When I hear that feedback, that's not only reassurance for me and confidence for me. It's like, right, you're doing a good job. You know what you're doing. It fuels that passion and be like, right, they're feeling this now. How can we take this further? What areas are they really excelling with? And what areas can we put a little bit more focus into to develop that even more, to bring everything up together? And it's like now, like even when I get someone like for you, for example, it'll be your check-in. Like I think last week it was, if this was a test, I've aced it. Like as in you did everything that was required. So in that moment there, I'm like, right, there's, even though it like, yeah, you've smashed it, there's still areas. There's still areas. So that's where we tweaked your nutrition slightly. And for other clients, it might be, okay, sweet. So we're progressing on this lift more than this one. Send me form videos of this. Let's get the mechanics down to a T, and let's push this up. So it makes them think above and beyond of what they're currently doing. Again, so that growth mindset instead of the satisfaction. Everything's good. Okay, so how can we make everything better?
Yeah.
You know?
So that's so important. Do you know what stands out to me the most at the moment is how giving you are. Obviously you have clients that you work with. I'm one of them. And then there's everybody there's this innate quality that you have to want to provide for other people. Like, yeah, you've got your fitness goals and you've got your physique that you're working on. But every time I talk to you, it's always about how you can help and improve somebody else. Dude, I need more of that in my life. I need to be more generous. Where does that come from? Because it's amazing.
No, I appreciate that. I think it's, again, I'm going to have to go back to my parents. My mum and dad are very personable and they're very caring, but more so my mum. And generally says it all the time. She's like, you sound like your mum. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. Oh, she calls me like Jane. And I'm like, please don't.
I'm going to use that.
Don't. I regret saying that. But no, like she had her own business and she was like wholesaling and selling products and going into businesses and stuff and was very successful. And I worked with her a few times and it was just only now I've kind of grown up is understanding how good she was at building a personal brand, how good she was at building communication, how much she cared about the product and service that she was providing. It might not seem a lot to other people, but what I saw firsthand and reflection was how good it makes you feel to provide for someone else in something that you're passionate about. And also, like, referring back, I said it a few times on another podcast, is I always aspired to be the coach that I needed when I was growing up. The understanding, being listened to, being heard, and just having their best interests at heart and pushing them in areas that's right for them. Like, I wouldn't push you in the same way I would push Elise, who's also doing the shoot. Like, and understanding the communication skills, which I believe that I got from my mum, and also working in hospitality on the cruise ships, working with 5,000 people every 5-6 days. Like, you've got to understand how to communicate and coach people. And I suppose that's kind of what's allowed me to bond well with people, not instantly, but like break down and build rapport. So yeah, a bit of a long-winded answer, but I'd say that comes from the old Mardukes, the old mother.
Salt of the earth.
Yeah, salt of the earth. And I think it's hard to look past that and say, like, oh, it's from this book I read. It goes deeper than that. Like,
yeah.
And again, like we mentioned it before, like our inspirations are, like, my hero is my dad. Like, I'm not going to go into it, but what he went through when he was younger. He had no qualifications, nothing. Worked on a market, and then worked at Adidas, Converse, LS, New Balance, and made a very successful career in business. And managed to stay humble and happy. I mean, when I say happy, he always came home happy. But I'm sure that there was times when he didn't want to travel to America, didn't want to travel to Europe as he got older. But just the way he handled himself and got up at 5 o'clock every morning and trained, always made time for me and my brother, always was there for my mum. Like, that dynamic that we got brought up with made a huge difference to who I am and how I operate now. And I know before this you said that, well, you mentioned it as well, like your dad was an inspiration to you.
100%, yeah. Same family life. I mean, growing up with a brother and 2 sisters, and I'm the youngest, 10-year gap between me and my youngest sister. So there was a period where they were in the house and then they moved out, and it was just me, my mum and my dad. And my dad was a lot more present in my upbringing than he was in my brother's and my sister's, because he was touring at that time. But we built a very strong connection. And I'm super close with my mum. But I'm more close with my dad now. It's like I had this period when I was very, very young where we were very close. Then I became a teenager and went out crusading on my own, thinking that, you know, I had it all figured out. And then I come back to this relationship with him now, which I'm really, you know, your parents get old at some point and something happens, and then, you know, you realise, then it's not going to be forever. That my dad's 80 now, so there's a period of time that is left for us to spend with each other, and I want to make sure that I'm getting every single bit of juice out of that squeeze.
Right.
And because he is my inspiration, sitting and writing music with him is infinity for me.
Yeah.
There's nothing that matches that. And I'm sure that you ask your dad for advice on business things, and it's just being able to get those communication lines open and realising that we are our parents. Like, my dad tells me stories of why he got into music, and I'm just hearing myself telling myself what it is. And it's just bizarre, but amazing and perfect at the same time. And it's always a grounder. It keeps you humble. It keeps your integrity there, because you just realise, you know, if you want to know who you are and what your purpose is in life, read the chapters of your parents, read the book of your childhood, and even your grandparents. There's reasons why. You know, we've come from that lineage. And I think you can just find out so much there if you stay open to it, if you don't be like, well, that's because of that, and therefore I'm like this. No, you're always malleable. You're always flexible to be able to change who you think you are and what you think you can achieve if you stay open to that.
I love that. Mate, that's amazing. One thing that just came in, like a memory, is when I was heading to the strip and I popped by yours, and that's when you gave me the book, The Power of One More. And the reason why I remembered it is because what you said about your dad and like the age thing, I think everyone can relate to that. It's a very emotional topic, So just leading on from that emotion, I remember when you gave me the book, and then we just had literally, it was basically a therapy session. We just opened up to each other.
I know, I remember this, yeah.
Mate, and it got teary. And you were saying, like, when you were a teenager, you were crusading, and I feel like it's very hard not to do that when you come to Vegas, single, DJing, in the nightlife, out all the time. But I remember you saying that you don't have to go into detail, but in a quite difficult place when you were in Vegas, or when you first came. And I didn't know that. So that was like someone just getting a bucket of ice cold water and just throwing it over me and being like, everyone's got a story. And again, it's nice to be able to have those conversations with mates, because again, we were talking about kind of men's mental health and stuff, but being able to open up to someone that you feel safe and listen to is so powerful.
Yeah.
So then it allowed me to understand you, and it made your results that we achieved together, honestly, 50,000 times better. Where we're like you don't have to go into the depths that you did in that chat, but give a bit of an insight of, because from the outsider looking in, you've always wanted to be a DJ, Blackpool to Vegas, Omnia, Hakkasan, dad's an inspiration, you learnt music, you write music with your dad, a really strong foundation at home. So this insight will give people that already know you probably a different insight to who Mark Eteson really is.
Yeah, I remember that day. And I have to give you some credit there, because I don't feel necessarily that I can have that conversation with everybody. But for some reason, we were in a place together. I think, again, because you reached out to me without me needing to say anything to you originally when we were playing football together. And we're like, mate, would you be interested in doing some training and da-da-da-da? And it was just a perfect time for me. And because, again, like, as a guy, if you offer something to someone else, another guy, you're giving them the opportunity to do the same back. You opening up to me and saying, would you like to come and do some training? I'd love to da-da-da-da-da, gave me some confidence of like, oh, this guy cares about me. Like, at some point, men, we feel, I don't know whether this is the masculine energy within us all, that we have to kind of go out and figure it all out ourselves. We don't. Help is out there if you're willing to ask for it. But there's this kind of narrative that we have to kind of be on our game all the time. We have to be strong. We have to prove this, prove that. I'm very in touch with my feminine side. Have become more and more recently. I think it's just an important part of balancing who I am. And for the longest time, I was not in that zone. I was just out trying to get as much as I could from the world. And ultimately, that didn't prove as satisfying, to use the word, as I thought it would. It was just me on a crusade, like, what can I colonize? Like, it's not a long-term plan. I want a family. I come from an amazing family. I'm very grateful. I'm super blessed to have the upbringing that I've had. And ultimately, that's what I want. I want to be able to have my own family. But I was shooting myself in the foot by not approaching that in the right way, taking nothing really seriously enough. I'm a commitment phobe. So like all of these kind of things led me to a place, and it wasn't when I first came to Vegas, it was actually 7 years in. It was lockdown. It was finding out that my dad had an illness. It was treating myself terribly. It was not taking responsibility for things that made me get to my lowest point. I really beat myself up, lost a lot of my confidence in myself, treated people like shit around me, and just had a few big, hard lessons, and life slapped me in the face. And then from that, I had two options. One was go down with it and be the victim, and the other was figure something out, offer myself out to people, say I need help. Like, what do I need to do? Go to therapy, I needed to change my behaviors. And you were someone that helped me do that. And sometimes it can just be the smallest thing. Sometimes it can just be, you start doing some hard things physically. You commit to going on a walk, doing the gym, this, and this, and then all of a sudden you start to build a bit more belief in yourself again, because it's the thing between self-trust and self-doubt. And if you're in that area, you have to build discipline, routine, systems back into your life with somebody like yourself who is open and non-judgmental. Honestly, I felt like I could come to you and tell you all these things, because I wasn't going to be kind of told off for it.
Yeah, I wasn't going to turn around and be like, why'd you do that?
No, but sometimes I feel like I'm gonna be told off by certain friends or certain colleagues, or I just don't feel like I'm comfortable enough. But you have that kind of, I felt comfortable in that moment to be able to share that with you, and I guess you've just been somebody that's really helped chisel that part of me, literally chiseled, and that's led into other areas. And what's interesting for me as well is that I'd always said to you that I never saw you as just a coach. That's like, first of all, you're a mate, but like it's physical, but it's also the mental resilience stuff that you do as well. The tenets and the pillars of what you've built now into High Performance Hub. Was that something that you felt was like a natural progression that came out of the fitness side of things? Because mental fitness is such a massive part of what you do now. Yeah,
there is a direct correlation. Like pushing through the hard workouts builds that mental resilience. Like you can go one more on the next one. Like pushing the last 500 meters on a run, like when you just want to turn around and stop. Like those kind of things like do transition into the mental side. But building that like kind of emotional intelligence and emotional control. So we've all been there when we've messed up on a diet, or we've had a cheat meal and we feel like shit, we feel guilty, we feel crap, we feel like we've lost all progress. And through my own kind of journey as well, and reflecting on that, it's looking back and being like, right, well, it wasn't actually that moment. It was the decisions 2-3 days before that, or 2-3 hours before that. So then it's making me put it into perspective for you guys and be like, right, so you had a cheat meal. I hate that, but you had an off-plan meal. How was sleep from Wednesday? And then you could turn around and was like, I had a gig, didn't get until 4. Then I had a meeting at 9. Sleep schedules all over the place. So then it's allowing you to understand your journey more. And as soon as we understand things more, you gain more mental clarity and confidence with just the understanding of everything. But mainly with the mental side is my journey with therapy myself, and then linking it into how it can be kind of emphasized in coaching, in training. And again, it's mainly putting everything into perspective and asking the right questions and giving the right feedback. So like, if someone says, I want to lose 20 pounds, it's breaking that down in a way that they can understand and a way that doesn't give them too much overwhelm. So instead of being like, right, we're going to lose 20 pounds, it's like, right, we're going to lose 1 pound 20 times.
Yeah. Reframing that for them as well, yeah.
Yeah, so reframing, that's a great word, like reframing their goal in a way that's just like, oh, sweet. So I just got to lose 1 pound. Sweet. Well,
and it seems so much more achievable that way, because it's not such a far away goal.
And then it's setting those small goals on the way to that. Even if people are going through a fat loss phase or a muscle building phase or whatever, it's not just the fat loss. It's not just the muscle building that you will achieve. It's the self-confidence. It's the mental clarity. It's the emotional control. It's all of these things that you will gain. But throughout that process, it's understanding, and my mentor said it's like, look out for coaching moments. So when someone's struggling, or linking back into what I said before, it's like if someone's having a perfect week, okay, so where can we push more education? Where can we push more knowledge? Where can we make them think more? And it's the same when things aren't going great. It's like, my mood was down. Like, how's relationships in the house? How's relationships at work? And there's always something. And again, I feel like I've built a solid relationship with each member of the team. in the sense that when I ask these questions, I feel, first of all, I feel confident and comfortable to ask them because of the relationship that we've built with the check-ins, with the calls, with the communication. So it's, again, like coaching on paper is, might do 3 sets of this, eat this much protein. But the art of coaching is understanding the individual, getting the best out of them with their lifestyle, their routine, their hurdles, their challenges, with everything. And then crafting a program, a blueprint, a framework that fits in with their life, that doesn't take over their life, so they can still enjoy their family time, their downtime. And for me, that's the art of coaching, and I love it. It's like a puzzle that you need to fix, but with someone. And again, like sometimes I'll not get overwhelmed, but the pressure. I love pressure, and you're essentially paying me to change your life. And if I don't do that, then I've failed. And that pressure gets me out of bed every morning, mate. Honestly, I'll eat it for breakfast. I absolutely love it. It's like when I play golf with Jack, he's like, "Oh, you got this for par?" And I was like, "Mate, say it again." I was like, "Give it me."
You love it, don't you?
Yeah, I love it. But going into like kind of high performance as well, like it's not just fitness. Someone asked me this, it was like, is high performance just like fitness? I was like, no. It's performing at your optimal level as consistently as possible. And I feel like without you realizing, you're doing this and you've been doing it consistently. From the SoundCloud mixes to doing a premiere which went off, it was, I feel, wasn't it the first ever live DJ event that you DJ'd with a movie?
Yeah. I'd never done that before.
Details, go. What was that like, mate?
It was a whirlwind. It was a lot of work in the making of doing that. And it was a lot of overcoming myself, telling me that I couldn't do it. My mentor at the time coached me through that. And it took about 9-10 months to kind of get me to the point where I believed that I could do it. He's, I'm a big picture person, so I'm thinking, it's got to be perfect, it's got to be like this, it can't be, it's not ready yet. I give myself all these little hurdles in the way to it. And he's just like, you've already put it out on YouTube, you've got a product that's there, let's spend the next, put a date in the calendar, say November, Q3. We're talking about this in January last year. And he's just like, just do it for 100 people. Just do it for feedback. Mm-hmm. Don't think of it as like it has to be at a festival. Like, yeah, you can have your goal, vision board, etc. But like what we want to do first is get it out. Do the thing.
Do the thing.
Do the thing. Chris Williamson, bro. It's true though. You need to get moving. You need to crack on. You need to take the first flick of the domino, throw the first dart. You don't become a marathon runner, you become a runner. You go for 20 minutes each day. You just got to start the process. So he helped me kind of talk myself back into that instead of, because he'd every time I'd come up with an excuse, he would say, right, you got to do 20 press-ups or something. Like we had a thing, because I would notice how often I would be like, yeah, but I can't because.
Yeah.
He's like, that's an excuse, get down.
But then that's making you being like, you understand more, and that's the same with me. Like I get overwhelmed, and before I launched the High Performance Hub, I spoke about this with my mentor back in October of last year. It was an idea, and then every odd occasion he'd be like, "Have you worked on what we've been talking about?" And I was like, a little bit. But in all honesty, mate, it was like 3-4 hours a day. I was like, just going over the same documents, I was like, this needs to be absolutely perfect. Mm-hmm. But one of my favourite quotes is, like, I'm going to butcher this, but imperfect action beats no action at all, or something along the lines of that.
Facts.
So then I was just like starting to put it out there, and then I started to mention it to yourself. I started to mention it to a select group of people within the team, and they were like, this is perfect, it's great, like it's you. And then I was like, do you know what? Fuck it. I was like, what is the worst that can happen? Like, my business isn't going to crumble. And the same, like, relaying that back to you, you can fall back on your talent. You can fall back on how professional you are to know that you're going to do a good job. And one of my favourite things that my dad always used to say to me before any rugby, football, cricket match, anything that I was doing, he'd just be like before a cup final, he'd be like, just do the basics well and you'll be fine.
Facts.
Just do the basics well. Like rugby, catch, pass, tackle.
Yeah.
And you'll be absolutely fine. And I was fine every single time.
Yeah.
And I was like, that rings true with everything that I do now. And it's just implementation. I'm getting a lot better than that. I'm speaking like with my therapist, and now I'm like with the emotional control, I'm understanding my emotions more, which I think is a secret power. So when I get overwhelmed with work and I've got programming, content, editing, all these things like finances, everything to do, if I list everything out that I need to do, overwhelm will slap me harder than my mum used to. But then it's just like, right, take a deep breath. Eat the frog. What's the biggest task that I need to do? And then you build momentum. And as soon as you deliver on a task, whether it be making an edit for SoundCloud or editing a track or releasing a new track or whatever it is, when you do something like big in your day that needs to be ticked off, the productivity and the feeling of accomplishment, it just gives you that get up and go. Because then you'll go into the next task and be like, right, sweet, bosh this out. But without understanding, again, as human beings in this day and age, we've got so many things to keep on top of or work on. If we make a list and be like, right, we need to do this, we're going to get overwhelmed and we're probably not going to do any of them. Because we'll just, like I used to, close the laptop, go for a run or watch Netflix or whatever. So now it's like, right, highlight first of all, what you can control and what you're going to do now. Don't think about anything else. Get that done and move forward. And I think you've actually helped me with that as well, without you knowing. Like with content, just with my personal branding as well. Like, so I remember after the shoot, we'd like meet up and go for a coffee, and we were talking about like how my Instagram looks, how this looks, from your creative juices and content production that, well, I've only seen it for the last 3 years. And confidence in speaking in front of camera. Like, you sparked that in me. I don't know if I've ever said that.
No, but you're natural as it is. You have to forget the cameras are there because they really never are. Your natural personality is what I'm drawn to. It's what everyone's drawn to, Tom.
Me,
Trust me, it is.
Turn the cameras off.
But like even today when you knock on the door for the gym, it's the first thing as soon as you opened it up and you came around the corner.
Yeah.
There's so much excitement there. It's the big kid mentality, but you don't ever lose that. Because, dude, that is it.
Mate, I'll never grow up. I'm like Peter Pan, mate. Again, there's times, and you'll back me up, hopefully. There's times to be assertive. There's times to be professional. There's times to be mature. But there's also even more times to have a laugh. There's more times to see the brighter side of everything.
Yeah, because you bring that out in other people too. Like you're doing something which is infusing people with enthusiasm. You're giving them the hope that they can achieve something, and you have to build that. Your energy spills into them, and then they go, "Oh yeah, I can do that." That's so helpful. You can't have a coach in any realm really that is kind of subdued. Your get up and go-ness builds into theirs. And then they want to do stuff for themselves and you. You help the accountability levels. It's ridiculous. And to your dad's point, do the basics well. That's it. That's all you need to do. Go gym, lift heavy thing. Go walk.
Lift. Yeah.
Yeah. We overcomplicate things so much. We really don't need to think that. We all do, of course, because we're trying to think about so many different things at once. And our brain is just constantly 65,000 thoughts a day. but 95% of them are yesterday's thoughts. So to be consciously aware of what you're doing, you have to really sit with yourself. You have to give yourself moments of reflection, like through meditation or whatever your method is. But you have to allow yourself some space at some point, and that's hard because you're an entrepreneur. You want to do things well across all domains. Probably meaning that you wake up at all sorts of times of the night. There is no point where there's an off switch for you. You don't get to clock out like Severance. End of the day, you're all right. You're back. There's no such thing for you. It's just constant, which is epic because it's everything you've chosen. But there's you have to find this equilibrium too. I know I need that. Whether you close your laptop or a method that's worked really well for me is blocking my time into different colours. So on my calendar, I know that that's my focused work. All right, that's good. Then I've got some content stuff. Then I've got yellow, which is read. And I can read for an hour. And I know, but dude, that's a beautiful time of day because it's do not disturb on the phone. I've got no other worries. No emails are going to bother me. No phone calls are coming through. And I can walk off to the coffee room and just be like, you know what, it's my time now.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
Yeah.
We need that.
I do, it's hard. Because balance is something that I push on to everyone to kind of obtain and learn to have. But I'm also learning that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that I coach isn't this 100% works.
Well, look, think about this.
But you've got, like you say, it's got to be tangible. It's got to, a mold that fits into that individual. So what works for me balance-wise potentially won't work for someone else. I wake up at 5 every morning and I do exactly the same, block everything. I don't do any more than 2 hours of work without kind of a rest or a different task to give myself that mental kind of switch. But switching off, I'm getting better at. But when you genuinely love what you do and unbelievably passionate about what you do, I'll be watching TV, we were watching basketball last night and I was creating kind of content and client results. Yes, it's work, but I can't see it as work. And it's just I'm always thinking. I'm always I'll go back and I'll show Jenna Lee a client result, and she'll be like, "That's amazing." I was like, "I'm fucking sick in it." And it's not again, I'm not showing off. I'm just proud of everything that I'm doing. So then it's harder for me to switch off, and I'm genuinely, when I go to bed, I'm I can't wait to go to sleep because I can't wait to wake up.
Dude, that's the best place to be. Think about what you just said.
And I genuinely can't. Alarm goes off at 4:45, and I'm do you know what? I'll just rest. And I'm why am I just laying here with my nose? Get up.
No, you're not made for that, mate. You're not made for that.
Let's have it.
This is your driver to success as well. Marcus Aurelius was am I meant to be here under the covers? No, dude, you're meant to be up and doing stuff. Balance it out, yeah. What I wanted to say just a second ago was, even in the workouts, there's a portion that you are, rest for 45 seconds. So it's important to get those both in there and to know that that's what actually makes you perform at the highest level. Because you can't just be only at 100 miles an hour.
No, and recovery and rest from training, I've taken a lot more seriously, literally probably this year. Because you can only train as hard as you recover. So when there's, and I used to be don't get me wrong, I'll probably train 6-7 times a week, but the training volume and the training I do, recovery is involved in that. So whether it be a slow recovery run, which isn't taxing, but it's still cardio and whatever, but it allows me to, for example, I'll probably finish work today at 5 p.m.
Slacker.
Yeah, well, I'll start at 5. So, but yeah, anyway, wasting my time doing this. I'm joking. But it's just understanding. I'm getting into the routine of having push and pull days, not with training but with work. So, for example, Monday would be a push day because I've got client check-ins, and then I'll just use that day to be right, we're hammering it. Tuesday then would be more of a pull day, where I will do potentially 2 to 3 less hours of work, but also the tasks within that will be less kind of engaging, that, if that makes sense, admin stuff, maybe just touching up a bit of editing and whatnot. Wednesday then would be another push day where we would literally stack as much in as possible, but still having those time blocks and breaks. So it's understanding that and working with your schedule, not against it. And even with me essentially working less, it's not me I'm still working a lot, but I'm having more time in the evenings and still allowing an hour and a half for the gym and an hour for cardio in my working day, and still getting more done than I ever have before. And again, it comes to that action and implementation rather than overwhelm and inaction.
Yeah.
Which has been a game changer, and it's just give it a go. And if you don't like it, don't post it. Or if you don't like it, you can change it. But just give it a go. But more often than not, it's quality because you're actioning it.
Yeah, and you've gotten to a point where you're well oiled with that now as well.
No, I'm lubed. That just came out. That was bad. See what I mean? You make me say stuff.
Blame it on me. That's fine.
So with going into kind of managing your schedule, so producing, on calls, everything that you basically do, how important is training, nutrition to you, and how do you fit it into your working and lifestyle?
Well, nutrition is on my wall, so that is super important, and that gets prepped every week on a Sunday afternoon. I cook the meals for the rest of the week. So decision fatigue doesn't even factor in. I need that because if a chocolate muffin is in my eyesight, it's not in my eyesight any longer.
Swallowed.
It's done.
Yeah.
So I have to be very strict with my nutrition routine and planning that. There's a phrase that comes to mind: when you're under pressure, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your highest level of preparation. And that is facts. So when it comes to nutrition, I have to make sure that I've hedged my bets. Fridge is done. And I haven't had a fridge for the past 3-4 weeks.
Yeah,
so
just on that.
It's been difficult.
This will get uploaded after the shoot. But Mark has still made progress with his photo shoot prep. He's got leaner each and every week without a fridge. That is an unbelievable. Because when you told me you don't have a fridge, mate, I was like, oh God.
Yeah, tough.
But you made it work, and now you've got a fridge, and now it's.
Yeah, now it's like, I've got a fridge. That's so good. Yeah, it's tough. But
yeah, sorry, mate, I interrupted.
It's all good. We made it happen. And and then in terms of organising the day, where my fitness and stuff comes in is first thing. That has to be done first thing for me.
So it's
get the hardest part of the day out, done.
Sets the tone.
Sets the tone for the rest of the day, yeah.
Yeah, because when I've been there before, and I'm sure you have as well, where you should be like, right, do you know what, I'm not going to train in the morning, but I'll go a little bit later. Then something else crops up. And you'll be like, right, I'll go after lunch. Then after lunch, you're tired. Then you don't go after lunch. You'll be like, right, I'll go tomorrow. And then you don't go tomorrow. And then it's just that kind of, then you should be like, then that's when my dark energy motivation comes in. You fat piece of shit, get up and get moving. And then I'm just like, right, okay.
Bro, it's just Tony Robbins, right? You have to not negotiate with yourself. So whatever it is, you have to put it in your schedule and you stick to it. For me, it works for me to do it first thing in the morning, because then I feel like I can overcome any other challenge in the day. I've already put myself through the hardship. For someone else, it might be lunchtime. Like that's the only time that they have. Like if you've got a kid and you've got other things you need to do in the morning, but you still need to set the time, and then you stick to it and don't negotiate with yourself. Don't get to a point where you're able to kind of talk yourself in or out of doing things.
Yeah.
So, and again, it could be after work. You could go to the gym at nighttime. Maybe you're more of a nighttime person.
Yeah.
So schedule it in and then don't talk yourself out of it.
I literally said this on a client walkthrough video yesterday. I was like, because essentially when you want to change your life, you have to change your identity, you have to change your lifestyle, you have to change not you, but the way you live your life, your behaviors, your habits, everything. So I was like, right, the first 2 weeks we're going to lock in your routine. Your workout days are Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yes, it is flexible in the sense that if you really cannot make it, we can move a session as long as we get the sessions done over the week. But for the first 2 weeks, I want you to lock in Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Even if you cannot be bothered going, just go. And give it 10 minutes and you'll realise that it's actually not that bad. And like you said there about not negotiating with yourself. And remember when we did the last shoot when we were filming content about the car park. There was a conversation there. She was like, "How do you use?" You asked me, "How do you how do you challenge that in a voice?" And back then I was just like, just disagree with it, just like ignore it. But what I'm starting to do now is like, in a really weird way, like have a conversation but battle with it. It sounds so weird, but you'd be like, "Oh, don't do that." I'd be like, "Why shouldn't I do it?"
So you're talking to it?
In a weird way, yeah. But it's like subconsciously or consciously, I guess. You're like, if I'm like, right, don't go to the gym, you're tired. But I'll be like, right, well, will you feel better if you go? And then it's just like this weird back and forth. And then I'm tired, and I'm just like, right, can't be asked for this conversation. I'm just going to go anyway. But it's, again, I think it all stems, not all of it, but links back to that emotional control and intelligence. If you understand how, and like listening to your body, if you are truly fatigued, then yes, do not go. But if it's laziness or whatever, then fight it and push it.
Yeah.
Like,
and you'll know where that voice is coming from, whether it's your lower self or your higher self.
100%. And I used to go to the gym like similar time as you, but as you know, like when you wake up, you're a blank canvas. So I don't check my phone. I wake up, hydrate, coffee, sit at my desk, and then the first thing I do is like 2 hours of deep work, whether that be working on the business stuff, launches, whatever that is that I need to do. I do that before I check my phone. After that, look at my phone. After that, go to the gym. That process for me, mate, is like
chef's kiss.
Mate, it's like an espresso and a croissant.
Oh, mate, don't talk about croissants. It's not allowed in for another 15 days.
It's beautiful, mate.
Tell you what, though, we're going to get some crookies.
Oh,
get some
mate.
crookies on day 15.
Yeah, Lamia's going to sort us out. We're going to have, 16 days, mate. We're going to have cookies, donuts, and then we're going to go for Italian. And if I don't put on 3 kilos in 24 hours, I have failed. But no, mate, it's nice to sit across from you as a friend and also a client to get your perspective. And also the way you view kind of my coaching, because it's not often, and you're very honest, which I love. You're very transparent. You'll ask questions. Why am I eating that? Does this make a difference? Why am I training this? I feel like this. My legs are sore. Whatever it is, you're very honest and transparent, which allows us to work together. And it's not like you've got your results because of you. I've just given you the tools to do it. Yes, the accountability and the structure and the frameworks, but without you actually getting up at 5 o'clock and cooking, like going to the gym, cooking your meals every Sunday, doing all the hard yards, you wouldn't be feeling so confident, looking so fucking ripped, and having, like, building on your self-confidence and everything. And even though, like I mentioned before about people saying, "Oh, you've changed my life," and giving me all these compliments which mean the world to me, I always say thank you, and then be like, "You did this," because they do. You can have the best plan in the world, but if you don't fucking follow it, you're not going to reap the benefits of it. So
but at the same time, take the compliment, because a lot of it's come from your guidance, your research, your encouragement. Take it.
Yeah. That's why I say I always start with thanks. But again, I said it.
Just help myself there.
I said it with Dorian on the last podcast. Like, when someone gives me a compliment, I'm like, "Oh yeah, thanks," and then generally, literally would like.
I'm the same. I find it hard to take compliments.
Why is it so hard?
Don't know.
Like,
it doesn't feel like you've earned it or something, well, but like you should sit with the feeling. I've been told recently that whatever it is, just give it a moment before you even respond, and because you want to send it back, don't you? You want to be like, no, it's you. No, you hang up. No, you hang up.
You're cute.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just like, it's really weird. I've actually got therapy next week, so I'll ask him this. But it's weird that I always not want reassurance, but I feel like I need it. Not like, "You're amazing, you're doing a good job." It's just like, "You're on the right track, keep going." That's all I need, and it's like a rocket up my arse, and there's no slowing me down. But when it comes to receiving a compliment, I'm like, it feels weird. Like, I can't explain it. I suppose I've never.
I'm kind of similar, honestly.
you know
Like
what?
sometimes,
Why is it though?
sometimes I almost respond better to a keep going kind of thing than a you did really well there, or like well done. And I'm like, what do you mean well done? I haven't done enough yet.
That might be it, in the sense of like if someone says, "Oh, like you smashed it," or something like as in the present past tense, like you smashed it, well done, not like you're smashing it or you're doing really well.
Yeah.
As in like there's progression with that compliment. Maybe, I don't know, but it's interesting because I love giving compliments out when they're deserved and where they need to be said, in my opinion. Like, and it's funny because I'm contradicting myself so badly, but when in people's check-ins, when they're like, "Oh, someone commented that I looked really good in a suit," or "I dropped a dress size and I look really good at a wedding," I'll be like, accept it because of all your hard work. Like, understand it, like digest it, and take a minute. But when someone says it to me, mate, I'm like, thanks. Yeah, you too.
Yeah, because
like,
we can't take compliments while we still feel like we're in the midst of it.
That's it. Yeah,
because you can't take a compliment. I remember talking to you about HPH, high performance hub, bro. You fucking killing it. Excuse my language. Sorry, mum and dad.
We've been swearing throughout.
But you were like, yeah, I'm not there yet. I've got so much that I need to do. And I'm like, bro, take the win. We have to remind ourselves as well that this is a being content with where you're at thing as well. It's great to constantly be looking up and to be setting your sights high, but also take the moment to be like, I've had a really good day. Spend some time with the missus.
Yeah.
Go out for a nice meal and realise that what you've already achieved rips, dude. Take that compliment.
No, don't get me wrong, I am proud of how everything's gone. But again, I always link back to what we said.
Not being satisfied.
Mate, I hate it. Like, I don't think... And I never want to be satisfied. And that just gives me more kind of oomph and like kind of get up and go to look for that next thing. And we briefly mentioned that what one of those next things are, but we'll leave that there. But the growth, but also, again, being in the fitness industry and seeing influencers having coaching businesses, more often than not, the clients that they have never hear their voice, never see their face, and never have any direct content with them. I am not saying that I am a fitness influencer, but I want to change the game in that sense. Everyone that joins the team will have access to me, will have access to other people within the business. It's going to be a community. It already is a community, as you know. And it's going to be a team of legends that work with each other and, yes, have that competitive edge with each other, which I think is key. And I think that comes from the sporting background. But where I see the High Performance Hub going, there's no ceiling. I'm genuinely, mate, not to, again, giving you another compliment, but with people like yourself that is giving that my direction more direction in the sense of, what about this? That would work. And just making me think outside the box even more is allowing for more growth.
It's so exciting to see somebody as engaged in what they're doing as you are. There's nothing better than seeing your mates succeed as well. So in any way that I can ever help, whether it's through connecting you to somebody or doing something with you directly, I want to be a part of that because I want to see my mate succeed at something. And I see the amount of hard work that you put into it. So it encourages me to do the same with my stuff, my business, my career. So there's a two-way street that's going there. But like, you want to help people who are doing things and going out and doing bits.
Yeah.
You're doing bits, mate.
Yeah, I mean...
That's inspiring.
Same to you, mate. I could just hold a mirror up because it's exactly the same. Hey, mate. But I feel like the only way I can describe it is I feel like me and you have been scratching each other's backs for a while.
Yeah, dude.
Do you know what I
Tickling
mean?
each other's testes.
Come here, you. Yeah. But no, mate, I feel like that was the perfect moment to round up this episode with. Again, it's always, mate, an inspiring conversation. And I feel like we do one of these a week in our own chats. But my dear friend, can you just give me one of those yeses?
Now, have we done a really good podcast today? Yes.
Yes.
Was it good? Because we got a little bit vulnerable? Yes. Are we showing our hearts and wearing them on our sleeves? Yes. Is it all good? Yes, baby.
It just makes me happy.
I love you, Tom. Appreciate you, mate. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, bro. So for the people watching, where can they find you?
Instagram, Facebook, all the usual stuff. At Mark Eteson or at Bluebird Wood Music.
Gosh. And SoundCloud.
SoundCloud, yeah,
SoundCloud
same thing, same names.
Amazing, mate. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.